Hi guys, Dragon Warrior Reviews here, and today I'm going to be showing you the Hot Toys Green Goblin figure from Spider-Man No Way Home. So here we got the box. The box is honestly very big because we've got the glider. Obviously, this is the deluxe version and also very, very detailed. So here we go. We've got a picture of the Green Goblin himself on the front. As you can see a load of his pumpkin bombs flying around. You can see a couple of Dr. Octavius's robotic tentacles, whatever you want to call them. You can also see Doctor Strange's portals. It kind of looks like the Goblin is coming through one of those portals here. Down here it says Marvel Studios, Spider-Man No Way Home, Green Goblin Deluxe, and Hot Toys Movie Masterpiece, stuff like that. Honestly, a very cool looking box. There is some more detail if you go up close, some greens, some purples, and you can also feel a bit of texture in certain places when you run your finger along the box. This is what this side of the box looks like, as you can see. You can sort of see some lightning down there. I'm pretty sure that's Electro's lightning. On the other side, this is what it looks like. And then on the back, you can see a picture of the Green Goblin here. I'm pretty sure these are movie pictures in Spider-Man No Way Home. And honestly, I love how detailed this box is. And then down here, there is some warnings about the batteries. And then I'm guessing there's going to be some Hot Toy store locations on the back here and a load of legal information. Stuff like that we do not care about. And then on the top of the box, it just says Green Goblin Deluxe version and 1/6 scale collectible figure. And yeah, if you take the slip cover off, as you can see, there's a window and you can see the Goblin, his display stand, his head sculpt, all his accessories, and his glider. On the sides of the box here, we've got some awesome purple detail here. Green Goblin, same information we got on the top of the box and on the front as well. And on the back here, same information again, but the artwork is awesome. I really appreciate the artwork they put on these boxes. And then on the side here, I'm pretty sure it's the exact same as the other side. Actually, I don't think it's exactly the same. No, it isn't, because this bit is like lower down and this bit's higher up. I don't know, but it's cool. Anyway, let's take the plastic tray out of the box so we can take a closer look at the Goblin himself. So here we go. My first impressions of the Green Goblin is he looks really, really awesome, just like I expected. And that head sculpt looks really good. Let's take a look at the glider here. Wow, yes, that is very, very awesome. Anyway, let's take the Green Goblin out and all of his accessories and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Alright, first of all, we are going to start off with the display base. So here we go, we've got a hexagon display base with a picture of the Goblin on the front here. It says Green Goblin, Marvel Studios, Spider-Man, No Way Home. And then over here, it just says Green Goblin again. Yes, if you want to, you can put a crotch grabber here. We don't get one, unfortunately, with this figure, but it is compatible, so you can put a crotch grabber there. So I think you attach this to a display base, and then you attach the glider on this. I don't know. And then you're supposed to attach this flight pole so the Green Goblin is, you know, secure on the stand. But trust me, you do not need this. The Green Goblin is secure enough. And Hot Toys realized that as well, because when they released the second version of the Green Goblin from Spider-Man No Way Home, the upgraded suit, they didn't include all of this. For the hands, we get 2 pairs of these sort of hands, looking really, really awesome. We get some pumpkin bomb holding hands, and then already installed on the figure, we get 2 fisted hands. Talking about the pumpkin bombs, we get 3 of them with the figure. They are very well detailed, as you can see. You can sort of see that sort of gold, sort of reflective paint there. It looks really, really cool. I'm really glad they decided to give us 3 instead of 1, just in case you managed to lose one of them. We get some batteries for the glider, button cell batteries, surprise, surprise. We get a tool for moving the eyes, but I don't think we're going to need this tool for it. We got this little piece for the head sculpt. Basically, you're going to have to remove the helmet and this piece here. And then you're going to install this piece and then install the head sculpt. We'll take a proper look at the head sculpt later when it's installed on the figure. And finally, we have the glider. So here we go. The glider is a really, really cool addition to this figure. If you don't get the deluxe version, you will not get the glider. But let's take a look at it before I pick it up. So it is articulated. These wings can move how you want when you display it. Basically, you undo these pieces, then you put the Green Goblin on this foot piece here, there's a hole under his shoe, so he'll slot in very securely, and then these will make him even more secure, and then you can get him on the glider. I will put the batteries in later before I install it on the display base, but I just want to warn you about something, ladies and gentlemen. Be really careful about these spikes. These feel very, very flimsy here. I actually have some damage on mine. As you can see, this piece, it looks like it's going to snap off any second here, this tiny little piece. You won't really notice it from afar if it does break off, so it's not the end of the world, but it's kind of something you should look out for because it is a little bit delicate. I kind of wish these spikes were real die cast, but maybe they didn't do that because they didn't want to make them too sharp, so you spike yourself with them. This is the back. As you can see, we've got some rockets here, which is really, really cool, and just a bunch of detail here. And then this is the little, basically you have to remove this panel, then you can install the batteries. This is where you plug that rod into, and yeah, basically this is the underneath of the glider. All right, here we go. We got the Green Goblin figure himself, and he is looking really, really awesome, but he isn't perfect. Let me talk about this. So before we talk about the sort of things which aren't perfect, let's just talk about the details first. So here's the head sculpt here. The eyes should be a little bit more shiny apparently, but it doesn't really bother me, honestly. They look kind of metallic. They are supposed to be even more metallic, but that doesn't really bother me too much. But what does bother me here is if I zoom in closer to the head sculpt here, you can sort of see Norman's mouth, or the Green Goblin's mouth, through the mask, but you can barely notice it. Even with the flash on it, you can barely notice there's like a mouth there. You can sort of see a bit of skin, which sort of adds a bit of life to the mask. I kind of wish it was a little bit more noticeable, but it's not the end of the world. But yeah, other than that, the mask is really, really cool, really well sculpted. It really looks like the Green Goblin mask, and it looks awesome. If we move down here, we got his awesome suit. His suit is made out of a rubbery material, I'm pretty sure, or spandex. I don't know, I think it's a rubbery material with armor plating on the suit. And honestly, the armor looks really, really awesome if we go all the way down here. I really like how it looks. The boots look cool here as well. Really nice boots here. Kind of look like shoes you can buy in real life, like Nike shoes. But on the sides here, we've got these little yellow pieces on his legs. I really like that attention to detail for the Goblin suit. It's really, really cool. And it looks a lot better when we go up on the arm here. It looks even more cooler with the armor there, and then the yellow pieces. Looks very, very awesome. And on this side as well, we've got the shoulder pads, which are removable by Velcro, so you can easily take all this bit off when you want to switch up the sculpts. But this Green Goblin is awesome. So now you're wondering what's not accurate. So basically, if you look at the Goblin's armor carefully, like in the movie, the first movie, you know, the Tobey Maguire movie, and also Far From Home, especially the helmet, No Way Home, that's what it's called, sorry. You can see like a tint of like purple or blue or whatever on the armor and the helmet, and we don't get that, unfortunately, with this figure. It's a little disappointing. I really wish we had that. It would have made the figure way more interesting to look at. It still is very interesting. It's awesome. The greens are awesome, but I kind of wish they added that attention to details, that sort of purple tint, if you look at it in certain light levels or certain angles. But it's not the end of the world. This figure is still an awesome figure. I'm not going to tell you right now, I'm not going to tell you, oh, don't get this figure because you don't get that purple tint. It's not worth it because of that. That's definitely not true. The figure is really good. The proportions are really good on it. The body's really good. It looks absolutely awesome. So I would recommend this. So yeah, now what I'm going to do is switch out the head sculpt. Basically, the helmet's on a ball joint, and then you remove the shoulder pads, like I said, and then this is on Velcro. So you just peel the Velcro off. I would say I would do it kind of carefully, just in case you don't rip the Velcro off, because apparently the glue is kind of weak on this figure. So let's see how well this goes. Unfortunately, guys, the thing I was afraid of happened. Basically, I wanted to take the Velcro off like carefully, but I couldn't because you have to rip the ball joint off the head. And basically what it's done is it's ripped all of the Velcro off. Like the glue is really awful and weak. So basically this is all stuck to each other. So if I try and put this back on, it won't sit properly. So if this does happen to you, just match the pieces back up, glue them back, and then you can install it back on the figure afterwards. Honestly, if you're not planning on using the head sculpt and you're not planning on doing a video or taking any pictures, don't bother, because this might happen to you. So I'll just have to glue these pieces back on to the neck piece. All right, I've got the sculpt on now. If you want to get to the moving eyes, you just take this hair piece off. It's magnetic, and there you go. You can use your finger or you can use the tool. And also, I really wish this was not Velcro to put these pieces on, because like I said, the glue is very weak, so it may come off and you might have to re-glue it. I wish it was magnets, but we'll talk more about that in the pros and cons section. So once you're done with the moving eyes, you just put on the hairpiece and it fits really well, and you can barely notice the seam. This tool isn't just for moving the eyes. You can also take out the sort of mouthpiece out of the mask if you want the Goblin holding his mask. I think that's kind of cool. Hopefully that shouldn't be hard to remove. Alright, this is what the mouthpiece looks like removed from the mask. It looks quite detailed. It's a shame you can't really notice this through the mesh of the mask. It's a bit disappointing, but still, I'm glad they detailed it pretty well. Anyway, I don't think I gave you a proper look at the back of the figure. I'll make sure I do that later. But here we go. Here is the Green Goblin / Norman Osborn head sculpt / Willem Dafoe head sculpt. It looks really, really good. I love that crazy expression. I did move the eyes. I put them eyes up like that. So it looks crazy, and I think I did a good job on that. I'm only doing 2 poses for this video, an unmasked head sculpt pose and one where he's on his glider. But here we go. I got him holding his mask, and as you can see, you can sort of notice the mouth is gone. As you can see, you can sort of see through it. It looks quite cool. I'm really glad they gave us the option to remove that mouthpiece. But I really like this pose here. He's just looking really crazy, just holding his mask. And he's on a display base, not very securely, so I'm not going to turn him on the turntable just in case he falls over or his mask falls over. But man, that head sculpt was really, really awesome. I think I'll turn the flash off before I change the poses. I am quite nervous to get him into his final pose on the glider. I'm really hoping nothing breaks in the glider because it really feels quite flimsy. I'm quite nervous about it, but hopefully it goes well. And we don't get any more Velcro breakage either, because I do need to switch things around again. Like you can sort of see underneath there, it is looking great. I love this head sculpt. It looks really, really good. I do kind of feel bad that I'm actually not going to use the head sculpt in my collection. I bought this figure because I want him with his mask on, gliding on the glider. I'll see if I can display the head sculpt next to him. If you guys wanted to, you got the money and stuff like that, you probably could make a custom Norman figure. You can just get like a Hot Toys body and put like a fancy suit on it and then put this head sculpt on it. That could work, but I don't really do customs and stuff like that, so I'm not going to be doing that. But if you are a fan of customs and you like making custom figures and you don't really want to use the head sculpt for this particular figure, you can use it on another body maybe, and that's kind of cool. I'm going to try and turn him on the turntable and hopefully he doesn't fall. I said I wasn't going to do this. I might regret this. So far, so good. You have to be quite careful with the suit though, because if you put him in a too crazy pose for too long, I've got a feeling these armor pieces may like unstick and stuff. I want to kind of turn him like to the back so I can show you the back of him properly. He's holding the mask like that. So here's the back properly. I don't really get to show it to you properly because I kind of forgot. But yes, you can't really notice the seam either. You can notice it, but from afar, you really wouldn't notice it. And if you didn't notice there, you wouldn't notice the seam where you have to remove the hair for the moving eyes. That's what I really, really like. Before I do my glider pose, this is what the head sculpt looks like without the flash on. Looks absolutely awesome. And this pose is really, really good. I like this pose, I like how it came out. And yeah, I don't know if you get a crotch grabber with the standard version, if you don't get the glider. If you don't get a crotch grabber with the standard version, that's kind of annoying because he'll look kind of weird with a flight pole connected to his waist, in my opinion. I think he would. So if you do have the standard version and you didn't want to get the glider or don't have the space for the glider, I would just, if you've got a spare crotch grabber, or if you don't, maybe buy one, because I feel like that'll look good. Or if you're comfortable just have him standing in your collection in a good pose where he won't need a crotch grabber or anything. My non-chrome Mandalorian Beskar, I don't have him on a stand and he's been fine for like a year. So anyway, it is time to move on to my final glider pose. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. So this pose I sort of copied off a YouTuber called Tim Collector. I wanted to do something somebody else has done before. He said he didn't really notice any damage really. Maybe like some of the bits from the leg were sticking up a little bit, some of the armor, but hopefully he didn't know if it was just him or not. So hopefully that nothing breaks or anything. But yeah, we haven't got it completely perfect, but it is pretty much there. So here's the lights. As you can see, if I turn off the light, they're pretty bright. It's just the switch is really hard to get to under there. I actually kept the silver like cover off so I can actually access it. We've turned the light back on. I am really happy with this pose. As you can see, hopefully it doesn't do any real damage to the suit. I will turn the flash on so you can see a better look of it in a sec. Also, if you want to store the bombs, you can store, basically you take this piece off, as you can see, and then you put the bombs in to store them, and then you can put this piece back on. I'll do that later, but here we go. The glider does articulate. The batteries should last a little longer than the usual button cell batteries, just because they're slightly bigger, I hope. But this is really, really cool. He does wobble a little bit, but that's because, you know, it's quite a lot of like weight. Hopefully nothing should break off, nothing should fall off. I'm very scared it would, but hopefully it doesn't. But here we go. Just gonna give you a little look. Gonna give you a look at the suit or the helmet without the flash on it. It's kind of dark in the room right now. Well, actually, because it's kind of high up, you know, it's kind of dark right now. So I will turn the flash on in a sec. But I really like how this came out, and it looks really, really, really good, and the lights look really, really cool. So here we go. That's better with the flash on. Wow, this is awesome. We can turn it from this angle here. Let me know what you think of this figure. It's very difficult to work with a little bit here and there, in my opinion. But yeah, the suit is really hard to work with, just because like it's really like resisting you, because, you know, it's a rubbery material. Kind of wish if they didn't do it in such a rubbery material, but maybe they kind of have to, I don't know. But it really does restrict the articulation quite a lot, but you can get it into a dynamic pose. I'm hoping there will be no damage of me leaving it in this pose. Hopefully will be good. But I bought this figure because I wanted him in a really cool pose on the glider, and that is exactly what I went with, as you can see. Like I said, it's not too crazy. Like, it's not completely bending really like down, like really strongly down. He's bending down a little bit. There's not too much knee bending. So because obviously in the movies, when the Green Goblin's on his glider, he bends down quite far down, and that might do a lot, and that would be putting quite a lot of pressure on the suit there. But I think this pose, I have achieved something pretty... Oh, sorry, not me. The guy has achieved something, Tim Collector has achieved something pretty dynamic, but not too dynamic, where it'll be stressing the suit too much. If we go from the back here, take a look at the back. The glider is looking really, really awesome. It would have been cool if there was some, like, fire pieces from the back, but that's not the end of the world. But the back here, from the back here, similar to the zombie death trooper, actually, you can see that ugly piece of the skin tone mouth at the back there. Yeah, just like the zombie death trooper, if you don't look at it from the back here, you're not going to really notice it. So it's not as bad as the zombie death trooper, the mouth situation, but be fair, if you have them like this, you're not going to notice. But you don't really notice, unfortunately, like I said, you don't really notice the mouth inside. If I can maybe zoom in really closely, you can sort of, maybe from this angle you can sort of. So it is good. It's not the end of the world, but you can't really see it too well. But it's very subtle. It's like, you know, you can see a bit of like the peach skin through the mouth, and it really looks like there's a man inside of there, and that's what I really, really like about this. But here we go. So he's pretty secure. He shouldn't fall off or anything like that. Moving on to the two irritating and two great things about this figure. So the first irritating thing is the Velcro on the sort of neck pieces. Hot Toys glue isn't that good, so if you do pull too hard, the Velcro will come off. You can glue it back on, but it is kind of irritating. I kind of wish I used magnets or maybe some like poppers or something, some buttons which weren't glued down. Maybe they were stitched down. It's not really a problem with the head sculpt one, just because if you pull the head sculpt out of the ball joint, you can just pull it out of the neck, and then you can just remove the Velcro, if you know what I mean. Basically, with this one, you can't really just undo the Velcro and then take it off. You have to undo the Velcro as well as pulling off sort of the ball joint part, because the helmet's on a separate ball joint to the neck. So you take the helmet off, and then you still have to take off another ball joint, which is connected to the neck piece. So maybe I should have like removed it slowly, maybe like pulled it, maybe put less pressure on it and just pulled it, and then maybe I would have ripped off the Velcro. But it's kind of hard because, you know, if the ball joint is stiff, you do have to pull harder, then it rips the Velcro off. So kind of, like I said, I kind of wish I used magnets or something which wouldn't break or rip off as easily. I wish it was just a little bit easier to work with. The second irritating thing is, as much as I love the lights, which I have turned them off right now, I kind of wish it was a USB instead. I know this figure is a little older than a lot of the Hot Toys figures I've reviewed this year, but I kind of wish, yeah, it was USB. Maybe you plugged it in and the switch was a little better as well. The switch is tiny, it's super hard to flip the switch. I kind of wish it was a little bit easier. And because of the button cell batteries, you weren't able to have this lit up all the time. The batteries will run out pretty quickly, and that's why I've turned mine off. So yeah, wish it was USB, and I wish the switch was just a little easier to switch it, or maybe instead of a switch, it was maybe like a button or something, so you would plug it in with a USB, then you press the button and it would turn it on. The first great thing is the head sculpt. So they didn't actually have to give us the head sculpt. They could have made us get the upgraded suit version to have the head sculpt, because this is the exact, because if the upgraded suit version comes with the exact same head sculpt. But I like that they just added it with this figure. It's awesome. It does make sense that they did add it actually, just because in the Spider-Man No Way Home, we did see him in this suit without his helmet on, but they didn't have to add the head sculpt. They could have just, you know, given us this, you know. It could have just given us him in his full suit with the helmet, with the glider, and then if we wanted to use the head sculpt, I don't know, for a few pictures or something, we would have to get the upgraded suit version. So I'm glad they gave us this awesome head sculpt, and this head sculpt's amazing. Like, it looks just like him, and best of all, it has moving eyes. And in my opinion, moving eyes for the Green Goblin without the mask on is essential, because you want him looking crazy. And as you can see, if you put those eyes up, you can make him looking absolutely crazy, as you can see. So the second great thing is, I love that he is super secure on this glider. I love that we don't have to use the other piece which comes in the box, where we have to plug that separate pole in, where you have to grab him on his waist. He is super secure and he's not going anywhere, so it makes the Green Goblin look more realistic, which is awesome. This figure will definitely not look as good with that flight pole connected to his waist, and it also would put pressure on the suit and probably damage it over time. So yeah, honestly, this figure is awesome. It ain't perfect. The glider feels a little flimsy. This piece looks like this piece is pretty much broken off. As you can see, this little spike here. Yeah, it has it's pretty much held on by a thread there. So you have to be quite careful with the glider. There should be a little bit of purple tint on his helmet and also on his suit, but there isn't. But honestly, this figure, if you like the Green Goblin, especially the original one from the Tobey Maguire movie, this is definitely worth it in my opinion. And if you've got the space, I would get the glider 100%. This is definitely worth it. And you're also getting an amazing head sculpt with the figure. This head sculpt is top tier. I'm definitely going to be displaying the head sculpt with the figure. And you get some pumpkin bombs, and it's just awesome. Anyway guys, if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button and that like button. Also hit that bell for notifications if you don't want to miss out on my videos. Comment down below what you think of this figure. Do you think it's a good Green Goblin figure, or do you think it could be better? Like I said, it could be a little better with, like I said, I wish they had the purple paint. And then the neck piece is really irritating with the Velcro, stuff like that. And the glider isn't USB and stuff like that, like I said in the pros and cons section. But it is still, like, I feel like this figure is almost perfect. I really am a little nervous about the suit here. I think a lot of people would be. As you can see, the armor is I feel like that armor piece there will dig into the suit over time and doing some damage. And the same over here. But hopefully it's not noticeable. If you're somebody which doesn't like to repose your stuff and you want to keep your figure, for example, in a glider pose forever, if it does get damaged over time, I don't think you're going to notice. And I'm never going to repose this figure again. I never really repose my figures. In my reviews, I'll do like 3 or 4 poses, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. How many I feel like doing, or how many I feel like I want to do, or needs to be done with the figure with the amount of accessories you get. But once I've got my final pose, I very, very rarely will repose the figure. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in another review, figure preview, or short.